Hey everyone, I wanted to let you know how I was doing 1 year later. My shoulder is doing great. I'm out of physical therapy. I don't need to go back and see my surgeon anymore. All around, my shoulder's awesome. I'll kind of start with the timeline because I know I left off a while ago. So I feel like 2 months after surgery was a big turning point for me. It's when I could wash my hair on my own for the first time. It's when I started getting back into my normal routine. Things started to feel a little bit more normal again. Activity-wise, 2.5 months after surgery, I was given the green light to start running. I'm not even a runner. I don't even like running, but at that point, it was something I could do to get my heart rate up. Besides walking, up until then, I felt pretty a little restless. So 2.5 months, I could run. 3.5 months, I got back on the rock climbing wall at our indoor rock climbing gym, and that was awesome. I could start doing the activities I really wanted to do again. And granted, I wasn't doing very hard routes. I wasn't anywhere close to where I was pre-surgery, but I was on the wall, and that's what felt good, and that's what mattered. I was taking it really, really slow. That's an important part of the recovery process. Not getting ahead of yourself. Doing things slowly and surely because you don't want to re-injure it. Because you're still in surgery recovery. And so you're more vulnerable than any other athlete or any other person doing that same thing. So just to keep that in mind. And if you're a competitive athlete, it's really easy to get that, to let that competitive side of you take over and to maybe push yourself too hard or try and get back to your pre-surgery state too quickly. And I think just being really mindful of that and not pushing yourself too hard because you don't want to have to go through your surgery again and it's rehab again. 9 months after surgery, I went on a 4-day outdoor rock climbing trip, and it was awesome. My shoulder was totally fine. I still ice my shoulder a lot. I just have a shoulder wrap that I keep in the freezer and I use, several times a week, even now. I can sleep on my arm just fine. I can bear weight on my shoulder just fine. My full range of motion is basically back. I can kind of, go all the way up. And my only limitation now really is that right at the top here, right at the top of my range, right in just kind of straight down in the middle of my shoulder, I still get the tiniest pinch, but that's it. Also, when physical therapy ended, that's really when it's up to you to continue your exercise regimen on your own, and that's really important. And consistency is key here. Doing something regularly, whether it's boot camp or CrossFit or group class at the gym or yoga class or some combination thereof, whatever works for you, strengthening and continuing your exercises in some form or another regularly is really important. Really easier said than done too. I haven't been the best at it either, but it was one of the takeaway messages I got from my physical therapist on our last visit. I'd say around 9 months is when I recognized that I felt almost all the way better. I'd say because of this pinch that I get at the top of my range, I'm not going to say 100%, but I'd say, high 90s, 95, 96, 98, whatever percent, and, that I'm basically at my full range of motion. And it's only been a year, and I think that's really cool. One of the other things is that when you first go back to work or you first start getting back into your normal daily routine, it's going to be sore, and that's okay. I remember going back to work and going around and seeing all these people I hadn't seen in a couple months and be like, oh my God, look, I'm totally better. Look my arm, I can totally do this, and I can do this, and I can do this, And after doing that, just for call it half an hour, I'm like, oh God, my arm's kind of sore. And even just if you drive to work and you go back to driving to work every day, it might be sore just from driving because you haven't done that in a while and you have to kind of ease back into your routine. So don't be surprised if your shoulder is sore from doing normal everyday things. It's temporary, it'll go away, but just, expect it, and that's okay. From my experience, there are 3 keys to a healthy recovery. Number 1 is attitude. Just remembering to think positively and to celebrate the little victories along the way. You're doing this for you. You're doing this so that you can, be more comfortable, so you can be more healthy, so you can feel better. Looking on the bright side of it, that, you're going to be okay on the other end of this. You are totally doing this for yourself. You are worth it. Number 2 is commitment and consistency. I loop those in together. You've gone through the pain of surgery. Don't have done that for nothing. Don't put yourself in the position of having to do it again. So Really commit yourself to the rehab and recovery process. Do your physical therapy exercises, go to physical therapy regularly. Like, you are worth the investment. Your body is really important. So, follow through with your exercises at home, what your physical therapist tells you to do, what your surgeon tells you to do. Really stay committed to yourself and to your health. And I promise, well, I shouldn't promise, I'm not a practitioner, but I really believe that, if you make that commitment and you really stay on top of it, you'll get better and you'll stay better because you will spend all this time changing your habits, probably bad habits that you had that may have put you in the situation of needing surgery in the first place, so that you can fix those habits so you're not in that situation for the same reason again. Number 3 is attention to detail. This one actually, in some way, comes straight from my surgeon. He told me in our last appointment, he's like, you know what, Anna, your attention to detail has been a huge reason why you recovered so well. So I think the way I interpreted that is staying really in tune with your body and really in tune with your injury. Really take note of what you're feeling when you're feeling it. What did you do before? What did it feel like afterwards? And communicate these things thoroughly to your practitioners, with every little detail. If you need to, create a calendar and write notes on it about when you felt something when, so that when you see your doctor or your physical therapist again, you can tell them specifically, hey, a week ago, or hey, 2 days after my last appointment with you, what we did made me feel this way. Kind of keeping track of dates and how long time has passed between your appointments and when you felt soreness, or your workouts when you felt soreness, is actually a really important part of the process. But in addition to that, also pay close attention to how you're doing your exercises and pay attention to what it feels like when you're doing it right and when you're doing it wrong. Because you're going to have to know these things when you're finished with physical therapy, and you're going to be doing exercises on your own, and you're not going to have a physical therapist or a PT aide there to tell you, yes, that's right, no, that's not right. So ask tons of questions of your PT and of your PT aides as they come up, as much as you can. Milk them for their knowledge. They have a wealth of it. And another tip I found on that regard is to have them take pictures of you doing your exercises. And then later on, you can keep a little photo album of you doing your PT exercises, and it'll remind you what you did and what you should look like when you're doing them. Another thing that I think is really important is to buy PT supplies and have them at home. One is a set of exercise bands. I just bought almost the exact same bands that my physical therapy office used. You can even buy them straight from your physical therapy office most of the time. I bought mine on Amazon, but buy exercise bands. I have rigged mine up on our staircase banisters, so I see them every day, and I do it while I'm brushing my teeth. Number 2 is a small set of hand weights, or rather a set of small hand weights. I just, again, bought them on Amazon. It's a 3-pounder, a 5-pounder, and an 8-pounder. And I used those a lot in the PT office and figured it'd be a really good idea to have them at home, and it has been. The 3rd and the 4th are a foam roller and some sort of yoga mat. The yoga mat really is just for comfort. Sure, you can do it on the carpet. I prefer a mat, just a little more comfortable. You can get those actually really thick, squishy ones too, just so it's more comfortable to be on your knees or on your back. But just set yourself up to be able to do your exercises at home, because I think it's important, because there might be days where you really don't feel like going to the gym, or maybe you don't have a gym membership. And then, a small investment that'll last you for a while, that's, your exercises at home will be a big part of continuing to get better, even after you're done with physical therapy. So the one thing that I haven't done yet is play volleyball. I know that's sort of what got me into this situation in the first place, and I think that's actually kind of why I'm a little hesitant to go back and play, is I'm really nervous. I feel really confident just about my strength and my progress and my rehab, and my shoulder feels better now than it did before surgery. but I'm a little nervous about going back to the sport that, was unhealthy for me. So my surgeon told me that I could, don't think about returning to volleyball until 1 year after surgery. And that's now. So I'm definitely thinking about it, but I haven't returned yet. I do know that if I do, that it's really important to do so slowly and not to jump back into such competitive play. I think I'm going to have to relearn a lot of habits in that sport, just like I've had to sort of retrain my shoulder how to move and function properly. So yeah, that's still a work in progress. But rock climbing has become the sport that is really getting me through. Because I really enjoy it. It's something I could do shortly after surgery. So that's been fun. If there's one big takeaway, I think, from all of this is that this surgery is totally doable. And it's not that bad. You learn some stuff about yourself, and maybe you'll make some lifestyle adjustments. But you can do it. You can totally do it. Trust yourself and believe in yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Wishing you the best on your own surgery and recovery. And if there's anything I didn't get to, let me know. And maybe I can follow up with another video if there are still a bunch of more questions that I haven't answered. But thanks again, and wishing you all the best. Take care.